Now, as we kind of go through the years of 2020 and just, on from the years of everything so far, obviously one of the big things that kicked off in these years was VTubing and the amounts of people coming through, just starting to do this stuff and then seeing how it goes and all that type of stuff, right? But as we kind of go way past that point and kind of just seeing how things are now, the field of VTubing is 10 million times different than what it used to be. In fact, the reason why I'm even making this video is essentially because I was watching a stream with Alice and I want to say someone named Comrade Dell, I want to say, if I got that right, hopefully. And when it comes down to it, they were just talking about the landscape of just VTubing in general and kind of confirm some things I was been thinking about and kind of how I was feeling. But even go as further as to talk about, how the whole field is kind of petty, how it kind of is for a lot of people, and things of the sort of that nature. So what I did was take notes, and I kind of wanted to just, I guess, rant a bit about it, because it is ridiculous how this field is now. Like, it doesn't make sense as to why the field is the way it is. And now, essentially, in order for basically anybody to blow up or get some type of idea of how things can go, like it's some crack on the street, essentially you have to play the game of just being a content creator, which is do a lot of scummy tactics, do a lot of other things that you probably don't want to do, and a lot of ass kissing apparently. So when it comes down to it, let's start off with the first thing. VTubing turned to more of a business-like thing, which, yeah, that's majorly like the whole thing. I'm not necessarily gonna lie. When I first started doing content creation all these times ago, I didn't want to do this shit as a business. I just wanted to do this shit just to have fun. And unfortunately, because my living situation and just utter nonsense in general, I had no choice but to kind of look at it from a business perspective in a sort of way. But still, for me mainly, I don't necessarily want to turn it into a huge, over-the-top, Mr. Beast's lunchly having ass type of business sort of situation. I don't really want to do that, and hopefully I don't have to do that. I just hope I can just live comfortably doing this, and we'll have some good-ass content, like today's content with the whole, PBS nonsense, which if you haven't watched that, please do, because we said some wild and shit in that damn video. But still, nonetheless, turning VTubing into a business, yeah, I definitely do see that, because just look at the companies. That's all you really need to do. Hololive to VShojo to Niji Sanji and whatever, essentially. Just look at those companies for 5 seconds and see what they're just doing. You're going to each of their streams, you're donating something to those VTubers, or they're basically throwing some merch in your face and trying to get you all excited for it and whatnot. And that's just essentially the game of just YouTube in general. It's just trying to get people to buy merch and things of the sort. But because they're in companies, and really when it comes down to VTubers in general, they kind of just I feel like they push it in your face like a lot more than really anybody else does, and obviously, yeah, you can do that, but it also comes off as very disingenuous and also very like, not really caring for the community. Just buy my shit and leave me the hell alone. That's really what it kind of feels like on a lot of different scales and a lot of different people, especially when it comes down to, really, I'm just gonna straight up say it, I really feel that shit when you watch anybody from VShojo, to be absolutely honest, and just anybody on the indies, because VShojo feels like indies still. I know they're a company and whatever, but they still feel like on indie levels, and I never really saw that out of my head. So that's just how that is. And obviously they sell a bunch of shit, or they try to go and sell a bunch of shit, or they try to get involved into other things in a bunch of ways, and it just doesn't feel like content creating shit. It doesn't feel like how it was back in the day, of how people are just making videos, collab with certain people every now and again. It's a rarity and whatever, and it's special. And nowadays they don't feel like that, because business and money and all that sort of stuff that honestly I don't really like, but I understand that you have to kind of use to kind of live comfortably, so it is what it is. But still, nonetheless, it kind of takes the soul out of VTubing, and definitely takes the soul out of content creation. So that's number one. Then number two, we have ass kissing, which I have seen this a lot, and this was also the reason why last year I was like, I'm not talking to basically anybody or reaching out to anybody for real, because when it comes down to it, that's essentially what's going to have to take place. The only way for you to get anywhere, especially if you're only drive and focus in on VTubing and getting to know people in VTubing in that sort of space, you would literally have to kiss people's asses just so you can get your own way up there. Now, here's a little thing about me. I don't like repeating death loops. What do I mean by that? I don't necessarily like staying stuck in the same place in the same situation, much less I don't necessarily want to grovel at somebody's feet, mainly because I'm looking for an opportunity. That's really what that comes down to. I don't want to do that shit. I find that shit absolutely just a waste of your own dignity and will. That's literally how I feel. If I were to go today, and if Iron Mouse was like, I'll accept one person to be my friend if you literally kiss my ass or eat her ass. Hey, I wouldn't say no to that second one, but still nonetheless, if you were to kiss her ass in a verbal way, then that's the only way you'll get some actual props and opportunities going. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't necessarily do anything like that. Now granted, I don't think Iron Mouse will do that, but you get the point. Just someone big and popular and just incredibly asshole-ish, I wouldn't want to do that. In fact, I just don't. Even if it was for a whole ass job, which, you know, there's some honestly IRL truth to this, I am not going to sit here and beg somebody for anything like that, because that's just not me. That's just not how I am. That's just not what I'm going to do. And if we are going to suffer because of it, then bitch, we're gonna suffer. But that's not what I want. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna fold and sit here and just be on some nonsense for anybody else, right? So that's just how that goes. So when it comes down to it, ass kissing is a very much huge thing, and I have seen it, and most likely you have seen it as well in the VTubing space. It's not great, it sucks ass, and it's definitely something that just happens way too much, only for the scummy people that's at top and above these people that want those opportunities to take advantage of them, and it just doesn't help. And that leads into the second, really third topic I have wrote down, which is they don't help smaller VTubers. And essentially, this is probably the biggest, in my personal opinion, one of the biggest things that really sucks about doing VTubing and really just doing content creation in general, is that you have so many people that is like above you, and obviously having big numbers, because let's keep it stacked, let's be real, at the end of the day, plenty of people that is at the lower levels that want to get it big, like myself included, definitely see what's going on levels of Iron Mouse, definitely see levels of what's going on people that just has it like that and stuff like that, and is immediately like, damn, that should be me, that should be having me up there in that same type of position, only for me to not be in that same type of position. And it's like, what do I have to do? What the hell is this? How do I get their attention for that? And that's essentially what it kind of is, essentially. You know, it's not necessarily the greatest feeling in the world to feel so insignificant in a world where everybody is basically feeling like a champion when you're not, and it sucks. So what you try to end up do is try to get their attention in some shape and form, and they do not help you whatsoever. Granted, I get it, they might see you as someone that's just way too low in numbers that won't benefit them, but if you benefit the smaller people, then hey, you can get an investment back, because most likely they will give some type of, you know, respect towards you for helping them. And that's kind of just how life kind of works. You invest in something for a long time or into a bit of time, and then you end up getting some type of return back. Now granted, you can have asshole people that come through and then just you know, just straight up deny you and whatever, but still nonetheless, you have that power to bring somebody out that whole ass non-existence and bring them into something, and that's something that you can clearly do. For a very good example, and I will always appreciate her for this, and really everybody that also helped out sharing it around, well, essentially when we talked about the it's okay to, you know, like lolly characters and be attracted to that sort of character type, when it comes down to it, Alice helped with the retweet of that, and because she helped with that, the amount of subs that we gotten from that video alone helped us reach to 2.9. Like right now we're pretty much 100 away from 3K, which is insane to kind of finally think about and to be like, yes, we're finally at this breaking point. We're almost there. And when it comes down to it, if it wasn't for her doing that and everybody else sharing it around too, it would have taken us probably a whole nother month before we got to this point, because within that one video alone, we reached about 60 new subs, about maybe 70 even. That's a lot of freaking people. That's a lot of freaking people for one video. And guess what? It's because Alice has those numbers in some shape and form, and people in the algorithm on Twitter was helping me out that damn day. And when it comes down to it, because that was a thing, it helped increase the numbers. It helped increase what we have here. And it was extraordinary. And it was amazing. And it made me feel honestly really good about putting that content and video out there. So at the end of the day, helping smaller creators is a huge thing. It's a huge blessing. It's a huge help, right? But many VTubers don't do that shit. Many content creators don't do that shit because they either see you as someone that's too damn small or a dang brand risk, which is insane to really think about it. In fact, when I was watching that whole stream, they were talking about how certain people didn't like those guys because at the end of the day, they were either hanging out with somebody that they didn't like or about to do some type of content with somebody that, you know, they didn't want them to do content with, or they saw them as brand risk, essentially like people that speaks their mind and being risky is all hell and whatever and all that type of stuff. And it's sad, and that's why, for unfortunately for them, they got essentially booted out of the community kind of somewhat hard. They can still make it if they try, but then you got to play the game of manipulating people and things like that, and it's not necessarily something most regular, morally bright feeling people would want to do. And it's just not great. So at the end of the day, it just goes to show you again though how petty the field is, but at the very same time how much of an essential help it can be. That's why it's probably best to look at other perspectives to help, you know, grow your content in different ways that's outside of VTubing. For example, and this might sound a little scummy, but at the very same time it kind of is what it is, but part of the reason why we do artist appreciation, besides, you know, actually talking about the good ass art that is there, because I do genuinely care, but it's also to hopefully have somebody to retweet and then hopefully blow this channel up in some shape and form. That will be the golden opportunity. That will be the best. Granted, I don't just spam artist appreciations, mainly also because I genuinely want to see good art. I want to see shit that I don't see a lot and how it's done in uniqueness. So I still very much, you know, keep it in a certain way of how I do it, in of real genuineness. But that's also like the back part of my brain that's like, hopefully they'll share it around and we get something out of it in some shape or form. It's messed up to think like that, but at the very same time, it is what it is. Life sucks right now, and whatever help I can get definitely will be appreciated, right? So there is definitely that. Going on now to the fourth talking point of what they brought up in the whole discussion is Alice was talking about doing NSFW content and sometimes how she wants to do it and sometimes how she doesn't want to do it and how she can't retweet it and stuff like that as well. Basically being pressured to do NSFW content and kind of going around the board, and they kept saying like, you know, every creator is kind of like doing NSFW content because if you don't do it, you kind of, you know, get lost in the shuffle and no one really cares for you, right? For example, they brought up the pan piano girl that was, you know, doing like piano covers and whatever, and it's fine and normal, whatever, but at the very same time she now does like really risque type of thumbnails and stuff like that, which is kind of sad that your skill isn't enough to take you where you want to go, and now you gotta do bits and pieces of showing off yourself just to kind of be like, yeah, here's a bit of all slight showing of vagina, but now here it comes with the whole piano, and now you get to see my actual ability now that I baited you in from that damn video. And now, but the only bad part about it is now that they see that shit, now they only really care for that person. In my personal opinion, they're only going to care for that person because of the actual goods that they can probably see instead of the piano skill. The piano skill is just a bonus to them, which is very shitty and very sad. In fact, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, on this channel I do feel pressure to do NSFW content because it's kind of the best material I got. It's kind of somewhat the best place I can do things, even though it's somewhat risky at times. Now, granted, you guys are absolutely kind to me because some of you guys have said before that, yo, you don't have to do NSFW stuff. You don't have to hard focus on it. You can do other things. And I definitely appreciate that. And that's why I'm glad to have the community that we have now, because I don't feel super pressured to be leaning in one way and leaning in the other way, right? And that's just a beautiful thing. And especially now that we kind of are getting somewhat consistency when it comes down to viewership, so it's nice to see that. But for a lot of people, they don't got that, right? That's like if Melody started to not necessarily do NSFW content anymore, or toned it down a lot more, and all of a sudden, you know, people will stop caring, because at the end of the day, that was the thing. That was the thing they came for. They wanted to jerk off to Melody. And that's essentially how that goes. And just in general, everything else. Again, it just kind of shows you how crazy it is, especially for a woman in this field of doing like VTubing work and content creator work, and how they have to play the game in order to just get somewhere. You know, showing a bit of titty is the only way for people to stay relevant, which is kind of crazy. But again, as I kind of said before many times, sex does indeed sell, and if there's a market for it, you might as well try to cash in on it if that's something you're comfortable with doing. You don't have to do it, but it makes you kind of somewhat harder to, you know, break out, especially with a field that is just completely dominated with other females that is just showing off whatever they gotta do to just kind of win, essentially. And that's just kind of how it is, right? So that's also like a whole nother thing. So that's it's very bad, and kind of sucks that that's the real deal way of how to get somewhere. And even then, just spamming NSFW content, as I have done sometimes before, doesn't really give you all the time the results that you want to see. So, you know, you gotta kind of plan it out in a way of how you want to do it, right? It is what it is when it comes down to it, but it's just hard, you know? And then lastly, the fifth note I took in when it comes down to this whole stream is that every VTuber feels the same. They kept talking about how also every VTuber feel cookie cutter and basically cut from the same cloth, and just be very safe in their content, and no one takes the risk of doing anything crazy and stuff like that. Like, for example, if someone had Iron Mouse type money, or someone had, like, you know, that type of status that she has, they would probably, you know, play it safe. Just continue to do the same content that they have done, react to content and stuff like that, you know, play games and things of that sort of nature. Which, if you do that stuff, I don't think that's 100% bad, but it does suck that that's the only thing that you do with your content, right? That is the only thing that you do, right? It just, like, no one takes risks and no one does anything. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, damn, am I the only person that takes a risk and do shit? Because obviously, as you can clearly tell, especially again with today's video, there is risk I take. There is wilding stuff that I do often do, because I'm like, well, no one else brings up PBS shows and talk about how you want to smash a damn Muppet, or just want to definitely clap some chick from Arthur or some shit. Might as well let me do it. Or no one talking about lolly? No one want to talk about the tight holes of these lollies? Well, screw it, then I'll talk about it. And that's just kind of been, again, the mantra of what I wanted to do on this channel. I like doing random shit. I like being different and unique. That's the reason why this channel has been going on for a lot of the time, especially of different types of topics of how we go about things. Sure, we got serious topics here, but I still like to bring up the weird ass, wild and ass type of words that come out of my mouth that I probably would never say in public or in front of anybody in a actual sophisticated setting. But if I want to say I'm about to deep throat Dora and go ahead and put a damn Modelo in her ass, then damn it, that's what we're gonna do. I'll do the same thing to Iron Mouse. You think that's gonna stop me? I'm putting 10 Mexican parades in her ass, and we're all gonna shoot piñatas up in that shit, and then we're gonna smack that ass like a piñata until her asshole drops literal candy. You think I'm playing? I'm not. But that's the wild shit I like to say. That's the wild shit of the content that you're gonna get over here. Would you ever hear any other VTuber out here besides my damn self and maybe a crazy jackass person that's probably equivalent to me, but would you ever hear a crazy ass person say any of that? or especially a VTuber saying any of that, I can't imagine somebody out here talking about they want to F a damn autistic Muppet. I don't think anybody out here would straight up say on the VTubing scene anything like that, because they know what would happen if they do, and they don't probably feel comfortable just saying something like that. Me, on the other hand, because I know it's fiction, I don't care, and that's just how it is. If we're talking about real life, then obviously that's insanely messed up. But you get the damn point. No one plays it risky. No one tries to be having fun with different creative ideas, because I'm constantly, personally, always trying to make creative different ideas. Why I kind of try to do Kakatsu Store at times, which I know I haven't done in 2 months. It's coming hopefully Sunday. But when it comes down to it, it's just a lot that you have to kind of consider when it comes down to the creative ideas of what I try to do. But then no one else does that, and it's so sad, and it makes the space look so boring and so dull, and literally everybody else that blows up in the VTubing space either just doesn't really make the content that you want to see, or they try to act like, oh yeah, I'm super extreme, this is super crazy, big boob titty VTuber, but at the very end of the day, it's not really anything special. Great, Zentreya has big titties, cool, don't get me wrong, would like to suck on them hoes, but at the end of the day, guess what? There's plenty of other people that has that trait. There's tons of people that has that trait. You think you can have a whole like bunch of stuff that like games on the side, or you know, charity streams or things like that? Cool, most people do that, right? Plenty of people do that. Good cause that you're sending there, but how are you doing that stream? In what way are you providing entertainment and content? You know what I want to do if I get the chance to stream, which I've seen some people talk about me before about streaming and when that will ever happen on the channel. Hopefully when I get the chance to blow up, which is why it's important for you to subscribe and whatever, so you can, you know, help me get to that goal faster. But when it comes down to it, I would like to do a charity stream. I would like to have that go for helping out actual kids to save them from abuse situations and things like that. I would love to do a charity stream by talking about smashing lollies and donating that money to something that can help them out. I would love to do that. It will be the most jarring yet crazy ass stream idea to do, and no one has done that shit yet. I would like to do that, and unfortunately I can't because of the situation. But would you see another VTuber do that shit? Most people will call me insane for that, but I would like to do it because it sounds like a funny ass idea, and it's also going for a good ass cause. So when it comes down to it, it's just, this is YouTube, this is the internet. You have plenty of ideas that I know you could probably throw down with, but no VTuber want to do it because it's too crazy and they want to stay safe and all that type of stuff. So at the end of the day, this entire long rant, it's just the fact that when it comes down to anything content related and just streamer related and anything of the sort, VTubing is just kind of dead, right? It isn't as lit like it was before, where people come through, everybody wanting to be friends and try to see where they can try to help each other out and things like that, where it's actually kind of good at least the beginning stages. And then it slowly divulged into everybody for themselves, and now it's like nobody can actually get to the top because nobody wants to give anybody a chance to. And it's a very sad, messed up, trash, shitty situation that unfortunately doesn't need to be the case, but it is, because no one wants to give anybody an opportunity. They're locked down by fate, and it is a hard, difficult battle, and especially for someone like me who is stuck in a damn loop of just shitty times and shitty situations. There's nothing really anybody can do unless somebody decides to come through, reach their hand down like they're Sora grabbing Aqua to bring them up on their same level to actually let them achieve something. That's the only freaking way. And it's sad no other VTuber out there really wants to go ham and just bring up somebody else or invest their time into bringing up somebody else, even for just a small moment. It sucks. And that's really what I wanted to say for this one. A lot But at the very same time, I feel like it was important to kind of go out and say, this is gonna be a one take, I'm not editing this, but still, hopefully you did enjoy. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about the current space of VTubing itself? Because maybe some of y'all watch VTubing still, I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of VTubing like I used to. I did watch Amelia stream, and obviously, you know, the Alice stream for the day, or the Comrade stream for the day, but that's really about it. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's Boy J, sign off. Have a blessed day.